You don't have a first and a, oh, okay, I'm rushing things, I'm
So
sorry.
moved.
Second.
Okay, second, okay, there's.
Okay, now go right to the vote.
Yeah, Andrew seconded it, okay, sorry.
It wasn't presented in a manner which.
Yeah.
Threw you all off because I gave
Yeah,
a little bit
yeah,
more
yeah.
context.
Yeah. Okay, so any other questions? Sorry about that, guys. Yes, Donna.
I wanted to see more definition, the
Oh.
goal of this, build a community, this is on page, it's at the very beginning of the.
It was C1 or C2?
C1,
C1.
yeah.
Okay. Build a community of learners and excellence in literacy through improved teacher knowledge, that, and an evidence-based practice for improved student outcomes.
And can they tell us a little more about how they're going to do that?
Okay, Michael can.
A little,
Sure. So this is all, this, as Gina mentioned, there's a General Assembly 2 years ago passed the Right to Read Act
Right.
around the science of reading. So this is the vendor that we've chosen to implement the science of reading training. So
And RIDE has approved vendors that we have to be able to utilize.
Right, RIDE has vetted vendors. So we went,
Okay.
you know, the committee a year ago last June,
A teacher committee got
the
together.
teacher committee got together and chose AIM. And so the way they'll deliver this is there is asynchronous learning where teachers will access online content. And then this year we'll have 3 what they call virtual communities of practice. So the vendor will zoom in with the cohorts. We have 1 cohort for our secondary teachers and 3 that kind of align with our schools, our elementary schools. So they'll kind of zoom in. They'll do like a 75-minute training, and then the teachers go back and do their asynchronous learning. They come back. They do like a pre-assessment, a post-assessment to kind of gauge their learning. But that's the main like delivery mode for this.
And this is
So
the majority of
they're,
PD will happen
it's
for
like
the early
coaching.
release time in
Yes.
District PD.
yeah, and it's hybrid, really, is it?
It's yeah. If you want
It's
to
hybrid,
yes.
Yeah, okay, all right. And what's the distinction? Why is this AIM, what's unique about the AIM approach to literacy?
Good question. So one of the advantages of AIM is that a lot of the vendors will provide you with the research and the evidence. It's almost like, think of it as taking like a college course where you're kind of sitting and getting the information. One of the advantages of AIM is that you actually go in and you have to do some implementation around the science of reading.
And then come back.
And then come back. You come back to your
Okay,
virtual community
okay.
practice, share your knowledge, go back out, kind of do your learning, do your in class,
Okay,
and then you come back.
I think that's what I was looking for in this description,
yeah.
is more information about what they're doing differently than what we've, teaching a child to read. Anyway, but that's good, thank you.
Good question, Donna. Okay,
Did
do we have
you
a
vote?
motion no, we didn't vote yet.
That's still the first one, right?
That's still the first one, yeah. So there's been a motion and a second. Am I right on that? Yes. So now I'm going to take
Mhm.
that to a vote. Those in favor?
C1.
Okay.
C1.
Yep, just C1 or C1. Yep, correct. Thank
So
you. That's unanimous.
C2 is for the Institute Software Subscription Licensing Agreement, which is effective August 31st, 2022, for a cost of $21,250 per cohort as compensation for the services and licenses outlined with an amount to be agreed upon by the parties at the start of each renewal year as additional compensation for continuation of services and licenses as outlined. And I recommend approval of this agreement.
So moved.
There we go.
Second.
Uh-oh,
I know what he was
tie
gonna
over there. There's been a motion by Ms. Luzon and a second by Mr. McQuaid and Mr. Callahan. That was really close. To approve the software subscription licensing agreement, the AIM. Open it to questions.
You do realize you got 3 people now to push this thing right along.
Is this going to be paid for by ESSER funds right now?
Yes.
Okay, so this will be in the ESSER fund budgets. Okay. And this is the software that you were explaining, like what Donna said, the hybrid
So
method?
these are the licenses.
These are the
So
licenses
this is a
for the
separate
software, yeah.
agreement just
Just for the license.
To access the license.
Yeah, okay. Okay, that's my question. Okay, I'll take that to a vote. Those in favor? Thank you. And that's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Okay, the District 2021-2022 Annual Report. I do recommend approval of the District 2021-22 Annual Report. There is an additional page for Charahoe Sports in the News, highlighting additional teams.
Awesome.
I want to give a big thank you to both Donna Saskavich and Katie Karakosian. Their amazing effort to complete all of this, gather all this information and put this together. Their hard work is greatly appreciated.
So moved.
There's been a motion by Ms. Luzon, a second by Mr. Callahan to approve the district 2021-2022 annual report and to, again, extend our thanks to Donna.
Andrew didn't second it.
No, Callahan did. Andrew didn't do that.
Thank you.
We're gonna be messing with you from now on.
Oh, this was awesome. Love looking at it. This was a great document to have. So,
Nice to go
Yeah.
through the celebration.
Yeah.
There's a
Lots of
good-looking school
celebrations.
committee in there too.
yeah,
Oh,
it
yeah.
is.
You do a good
Okay,
job, Donna.
so,
Katie- Katie's the teacher.
yes, Mr. Day.
I have just one question.
Yes, sir.
I was looking at this, the career and tech welding instructors, recognized restoring and something like this. I don't remember there's something that is coming before the school
For
committee.
recognition?
I think that's, should have been something that we were made aware of. 'Cause,
Sure.
you know, that to me is,
Oh, when they did the welding project on
yeah,
the,
it's on the first page, a little picture there.
Yeah.
yes.
You know,
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
You know,
I
I
saw
mean, we recognize a lot of the athletes around here, we recognize, and this to me, you know, kind of near and dear to my heart that we've got a bunch of students that are going up there and doing something like that with
the
the
veterans.
911. So it's not a criticism.
No, I would
love.
love,
In the future, you know, I think.
it's
we-
my
we
favorite
need-
part of the meeting is the
we need
recognitions.
to have- We need to have some of this, you know, moving forward with us at the time it happens. you know?
Absolutely.
Donna, you sent this to the town, too?
Yes.
Yeah, and Donna also sends these to the town
It goes to Ryan.
it goes to RIDE too, so that's, but I agree with you, Bill, on that one.
Yeah, we're gonna get all the secretaries in the schools and the staff, make sure they get all of that. That would be.
Okay, so we had a motion and a second to approve the district annual report. Those in favor? That's a big unanimous favor. Thank you.
Madam
And-
Chair,
Yes,
if I remember right, George asked for the next one.
No.
It wasn't?
Nope.
I thought I heard. All right,
this was-
take that back.
he has asked for it in the past.
Last year,
Oh,
I think
thought he
Bill
asked for
and
the
George
G-
asked to have them come.
GCA.
Right, but I think
All
they
right.
give us a regular report just because
we get the
right now.
regular
Yeah, it's
report.
part
It's
of
part-
our annual.
Right,
All right.
But
But
last
yes,
year,
for-
George and I think Bill asked us to have GZA come and provide some updates because it was still happening.
No, it's-
Yeah.
It's always happening.
So the GZA has provided a draft report of the annual remediation results for the middle school oil spill, and Ned's here to answer any questions. Oh, there we
Oh.
go. We have a budgeted another year for remediation consistent with Rhode Island DEM requirements, and we will update the committee should there be any material changes to our course of action. So approval, I recommend approval of the draft report.
So moved.
Second.
Why do we have to-
would it-
why do we
I
have to
don't know.
approve the draft?
You don't have to, they don't have to approve this?
No, I don't think
Okay.
so.
Okay,
This
then-
is just for FYI information, right?
That's
This is-
required.
Discuss it, not to, I don't think that.
Well, I'm sorry, what is
It's required to go to DEM.
Oh, to DEM, but not to us, not to us.
Okay.
Okay.
So I take back. my-
That's
There
okay,
you go.
that's all right.
So
Does
now
anyone
it's
have
just
any
like,
questions,
for a
though?
question.
Anybody? Yes, you have a question.
Ned. How much longer?
A few years. they
That's
said.
the big question. So in talking to GZA, they said the interpretation DM is giving them is they want a clear indication from the samples. And right now, we're not quite there.
Can you elaborate on the word clear?
So clear would be, and you'll see in the back of that report, it shows what you see for solids coming out of the samples. If you get nothing comes up, then they would consider that
Clear.
clear. Now, in order for that to happen, right now, we're in a bit of a drought. So it's likely that there'll probably still be some stuff showing up because it's very low concentration of water. So any other solids that are there are going to be more likely to appear. DEM wants to see a few years of that going by without seeing anything. So I would say we're probably on the hook for another couple of years. They would want to see it.
Because clear to me I would interpret that as there's nothing.
Nothing that you can see, nothing detectable. That's what they're looking for, is nothing detectable.
May not be C because they test it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
oil's still in the ground from millions of years ago for, DEM, I guess, has a better view of evolution than we
Well,
do,
it's,
but-
it's relative to our testing. I mean,
Yeah.
they're not looking to, the testing doesn't go into that degree. It's more about a visible, what you get for a skim. So if the time comes that it's so diluted, there's really nothing to see, and that happens over the course of a year or two, I think DEM will be comfortable that there's really nothing else that you're
And
gonna
the
pull
plume
off
is,
of this.
is not expanding anymore.
Not expanding.
Everything is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's, the remediation's doing its job. DEM just wants to be sure, hey, there was no pocket that we're not aware of, or there's no seepage that we didn't do all our due diligence to find.
All right.
As of now, you can see that trend line keeps going down, 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 down. So
that's good.
it's barely deductible.
Thank you.
You gotta remember,
Better safe than sorry, though.
if this thing clears up, then they might have to lay off a couple of people from DEM too. It's gonna be a perpetual job going on for a number of years, you know? It just, DEM has their own issues with a lot of things, and I'm not sure that, they're treating us in a fair manner, quite honestly.
I want to echo what Bill's saying, because it seems like the plume hasn't moved in quite a while. I mean, you're never gonna totally 100% eliminate the oil that's in the ground. And
Yeah, we're close. I mean, we're about as close as we can get, but.
But they won't let us pull it yet.
Why don't you play here and get a job at DEM?
Don't say that.
So, school committee subcommittee review, Chair Lyle will review the list of school committee subcommittees and will offer suggestions, recommendations for any additions and deletions to the list.
So I kind of thought this would be more of a informational kind of presentation. And we don't need to make any decisions on the committees, the subcommittees tonight, just to think about it. Because I thought that once the elections are done and we have possibly new members on the committee, that we probably look at, deciding what committees we still want to have. But I met with Donna. Thank you very much, Donna. And just because of her historical knowledge, I wanted to know a little bit about each of the committees, why they were formed, and what their roles were. So the Audit Subcommittee, it was formed by the school committee. The purpose is to review the audit before it goes to the school committee. And usually that's in November or December, and it requires 2 school committee members. I don't think there's any need not to have that. I think that's a good idea. So I think that was one, my recommendation would be one to keep. You can stop me whenever. The Ctc Advisory Committee, we couldn't find why this committee was formed. Even Donna couldn't find any record or,
No, it used to be, I think, because of the Perkins grant, but
Right.
now that's no longer needed. I
Right.
think that's what it was.
right, and that's what I put in my notes, that Donna believes that it served a purpose initially to review the Perkins grant. I did have a conversation with Director Auth about it, and he also felt like there was no need to have this advisory committee. So the recommendation was to eliminate this committee at this time. I don't even know if it's met. I think it's just a committee that's not needed at this time. The ESP Evaluation Review Committee is actually it's a required under of the Article 1722 of the ESP contract. So that is something that we would need to keep until the contract is either changed or not changed. And so we probably know that in the near future, hopefully. So that needs to stay. The Finance Committee is required by the Charahoe Act. It meets before the omnibus meeting, and it meets with the town representatives prior to the omnibus meeting. There's one school committee member from each town is in attendance. Yes.
Is there any distinct reason why the audit subcommittee and the finance committee, that those responsibilities wouldn't sort of just
Two different
be-
things, but I mean,
I have the history on that.
yes.
Because I think I may have served on
Well,
both at one point.
well,
So
We pulled it all from the basement, goes way back.
Yeah.
The Finance Committee is in the Charahoe Act.
Yes.
But at a school committee meeting in the 50s or 60s or somewhere, the school committee decided to have an audit subcommittee. So it's their recommendation. They made a motion, they approved it, they set up the audit subcommittee to review the audit. The finance actually reviews
Use the
the budget.
budget. two different.
So the audit subcommittee really does the audit. So it was, in order to remove that, a school committee would have to vote to remove the audit subcommittee, but it does not have anything to do with the Charahoe Act.
Yeah.
It was specifically done at a school committee meeting.
Okay.
And it definitely defines who they want on it, which is one financially knowledgeable person from each town. I think the 2 school committee members that I don't think we had, and then we did put them
We
on.
did finally put them on. there.
And the treasurers.
Thank you.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Food Service Contract Committee, it's, the purpose of that committee is to review contracts when they come up for renewal. Obviously, it last met 5/17/19 because I guess contracts are on a maybe 3-year basis, or are they yearly, Ned? Food service contracts, are those yearly?
Those are annual. It's
Those
actually a 5-year bid was put out by RIDE.
Okay.
With annual renewals.
Okay, because that's similar to, well, kind of similar to the bus committee, transportation subcommittee, because they look at the transportation contract also, but then they also look, address appeals made by parents regarding bus routes. So we do have we do have that. So I don't know what anybody's thoughts are. You can,
We have met in my 11 years, we have met quite a few times.
right. Yeah. So I don't think there's any need to get rid of that. Yeah. Health and Wellness Subcommittee is required by the state, and chair of the school committee historically has chaired these meetings. I guess it's not required, but that's what we've done in the past.
Legislation requires that school members sit on it,
Yeah.
not that they chair.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fine
Sit on it,
with
but
us.
not that they chair. And we do, and that's a standing committee. Marketing Subcommittee, I don't know. I wasn't here. It was, I believe, started by Clay Johnson through a recommendation. It met last on 12/12/17. I don't know what the purpose was. You thought it was to help to improve enrollment at the CTC?
To bring in students.
To bring in
Yeah,
students?
That's how I recall it.
And to compete against
Okay.
charter schools.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
Kids being
what are your
blown out.
thoughts? What are your thoughts about keeping that?
If they're not meeting, that's one thing. But
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
premise is,
It's
it's
up to
marketing.
you guys.
I
Okay, think about it. You can just, you don't have to make a decision tonight.
I think there is value in understanding that, Charahoe is also a brand, and ensuring that our materials are of a professional nature, and that we're promoting ourselves effectively. But candidly, I think that is ultimately likely the responsibility of administration. And so, if it isn't meeting, I think there's value in the work. So maybe I would look to the superintendent in terms of, is there a need for school committee engagement around marketing?
So the marketing idea is built into the grants that we do with CTC. So Director Auth with his team and builds that right at Facebook. And then you probably see a lot around that time when the applications are out. They do the Twitter posts, but majority audience, because it's parents usually, Facebook, and now he's increased it to TikTok and Instagram as well. So to get the student, sort of, that's where they are. That's where he goes. But he does make a conscious effort for the marketing of our CTC work.
And so, if you don't mind, so I guess my question is, do you need school committee guidance and or support to sort of achieve those aims? I would suspect that the answer is no, but I don't want to assume that, and certainly want to make sure that we're being supportive of your work if
Yeah, I
you
think
need us.
there are other things that are coming up that would be more valuable of time because we already have a direct initiative with marketing.
Right. Yes.
Is there, I think Andrew makes a good point. Does it have to be school committee assigned? But is there anyone, and I'm thinking maybe Katie does this, that when there's recognition that has to be made about the district who contacts the Westerly Sun or the Providence Journal, is there anyone internally that would be focused on when we need to shout out to the glory of Charahoe?
Since we've lost Cynthia Drummond, that has been a huge gap because myself, the principals, we've all been writing press releases and they're still not getting into the Westerly Sun.
Oh, really?
Yes. So
Oh,
like
that's
I
not
wrote
good.
that actually what was in the annual report. I had sent that as a press release and nothing. So we've actually, because a lot of us are working on sort of that branding opportunity, Katie's job doesn't incorporate that, but we've been talking about ways we can enhance her position so that it will do that. Because we need
Yeah.
one sort of person to sort of collect that
To
information.
just pay attention to it when the shout out has to
You know,
happen.
Dana Hall has taken on Susie Scanapieco. Even some of the parents have written press releases and they
Yeah.
have not been posted yet.
In which one, the Charahoe Sun or the Wesley Times?
It's the same thing.
Both.
I know, that was
You're
my
being
fault.
facetious.
Absolutely.
How about the Providence Journal sometimes too?
And I've
Some
not
of
seen
these-
the problems.
Yes, Mr. Lusano.
So I 100% agree with where Andrew's going with this, but I want to go even further with saying, I just still find this, even though I was told at the time when we created this, this is the direction we got to go. But public schools have to promote themselves.
Yes.
Yes.
I really got a problem with that. I thought it was just our responsibility to
I
do
wouldn't
this,
call it
but I
marketing,
understand the competition, especially
More
with the CTC.
Communication. Yeah, I don't know if I call it marketing, but I would call it maybe something. Go ahead.
Especially now with pathways, all of the schools in the state are trying to pull. And so we're probably losing a lot of students to other schools because they are marketing.
We are marketing.
No, but I mean, like kids
Yeah.
are looking and not private
We've
schools,
turned
but
away,
other high
based
schools.
on our programs, we've turned away a lot of students who just don't have enough room, right, to be able to accept everyone. What we see oftentimes, I think I've explained this to you, when we talked about enrollment, is a lot of times the students who do leave are leaving, it's a smaller high school. Charahoe has 1185, almost 1200, so they're headed off to Narragansett maybe, where there's a small community. But typically when Director Arthur and I, if we're asked, if we haven't gotten many, we sit with them to talk about why. Oftentimes we show them how the program exists here. And we don't have a specific arts pathway, but we have all the courses that we could create that pathway. Like South Kingston has it. So usually when we tell the students that they can create that path, that we can give them that independent path, that they'll stay. But I don't see a lot of them leaving unless it's for specific, either a program that we don't have, like Narragansett has plumbing. We don't have it. Or they want a smaller environment. But we're actually pretty good. We're seeing a good, strong enrollment.
Can I inject a comment? Don't you have a graphic design program? Kind of seems like a neat,
No, they do.
you could
Yeah.
have, work with them to promote it.
No, we
They
do.
do.
And,
Yeah,
and
they
actually,
do.
all of the flyers that are created,
It's all done.
it's
Yeah.
just done internally. It's not necessarily like a school committee
Right.
function.
Right.
Right.
But absolutely.
I just still find
So-
it bizarre that Cranston has got aquaculture.
So I'm hearing that maybe this might be not maybe an iffy one, not maybe one that
Yeah,
we
we
need
could
to.
eliminate
We
it.
could
Yeah.
eliminate it. Okay. Next is the recognition subcommittee. I guess it was on, and I do actually remember the time that Barry actually said we need to bring this back, right? It was, and then you
Well,
volunteered.
He promoted it
yeah.
and he solicited for nominations every month.
You do.
And
Yeah.
he would submit the nominations to us, the paperwork to us. And then we would review that and name someone. And then he enjoyed
Right.
giving a certificate and going and presenting it. So I don't know if you want to do
Yeah,
that. or not.
we've been doing it, and I just didn't understand necessarily the function of how you did it.
Right.
But we've been doing it internally.
Yeah, we didn't do anything since, we haven't done anything in the
And now, like,
last
the
year.
principals are using like the golden apple, the crystal apple awards.
Right,
So
right.
they're using.
So just, I would eliminate it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyway.
So we talked about this at the last school committee meeting, that we want to keep the liaison to special ed because we want to try to build that program or that group up. So we want to leave the liaison there. So we thought that would be important to keep. School-
Madam Chair?
Yes, I'm sorry. sir.
When we discussed that,
Yes.
I did imply that some of our teachers, I wasn't implying for the teachers to take over the role
Right,
for that,
Right.
but it would still be, it's still wonderful to have 12 people sitting there talking versus 3.
right.
And if they can satisfy their requirement, because a lot of the elementary teachers, there's not many places they could go to be, to satisfy certain requirements for their evaluation.
Right, exactly.
And that was one of them.
Okay.
So I'm just throwing that out there.
Oh,
That's
no,
all.
I don't think we would tell people not to
No,
come.
we would want people
We would
to.
want
No,
people
no,
to,
I know,
yeah.
but there was someone came back with another remark saying, but it's not necessary. And I understand that, but the point is, it's still,
Conversation.
Yeah.
There's a
And
be-
welcome.
Yeah, and welcomed, yeah. School Facilities Subcommittee, I believe that was created when we went to the newer and fewer. But I think that's something that, given that we may want to do something in the near future, I think it's important to have, and I know RIDE requires it. That's part of the
Well,
requirements
yeah,
for,
right, there's a RIDE requirement and there's a Charahoe Act,
Right.
so there's a little bit, but
Right.
if we were to move in that direction, they would require a building committee.
right. So I think it probably just be,
but we always met as a group to approve the 5-year plan too.
correct. Right, so I think we need to keep that. That would be one that's important to keep. Threat Assessment Oversight Committee, that's also a
that's
part of the
required by
EOPS.
legislation.
That's a required legislation, so that needs to stay. And the Transportation Subcommittee, again, that reviews the contract and also hears any kind of appeal. So it looks like at this point in time, not to make any decisions. I mean, we don't have to take a vote unless anyone feels strongly about it, because we can always come back, but it looks like the CTC Advisory, Marketing, and Recognition were probably ones we could take off at this point. Yes, Andrew?
Ryan, I was curious for your take in terms of audit subcommittee going under, or not to eliminate the need to review the audit, not eliminating the activity, but simply putting that responsibility with the finance committee. I can see pros and cons of having a separate group of folks who are looking at the audit versus the finance, and at the same time, you can also see the value in having that be the same group of folks. So you served on it. Just curious your perspective.
Yeah, I think it could fold into it. I mean, it's just twice a year. I
And the
don't see-
omnibus is just once.
Yeah, I
yeah.
don't see any issue with that. I really do think that very distinct functions though.
Yeah.
But neither one of them, neither one of them is onerous in terms of, like, you wouldn't be overburdening people
Yeah.
who are participating in finance. So I see no problem in consolidation. It would eliminate another group.
There would be a problem.
Yeah, because it's a
um,
Charahoe.
Number one, you would have to vote to take the audit subcommittee completely off and then vote again to have the membership align with what is in the Charahoe Act.
You say membership aligned with. it.
Because the Charahoe Act clearly
very
defines the
specific.
finance subcommittee,
Right.
finance committee, and who needs to be on that.
Mhm.
The audit subcommittee was created by the school committee, so it's not in the Charahoe Act, so it's not the same people.
Yeah, I understand that, but I think what the argument would be is we would fold into the finance committee's
You would, but-
requirement of,
You would have to, again, because there was a motion made by another committee and it was seconded and it's been, you would have to remove the audit subcommittee,
Right.
then make a motion to put them-
consolidated with finance.
consolidate, and then you'd have to make the motion on what the membership would be,
Well, the membership,
according to the Charahoe Act.
well, so we may be overcomplicating it. And what I mean by that is that, to your point,
Those who are on
the
the
membership
finance-
is defined by the Charahoe Act. And so
Right.
that would remain consistent. I'm not looking to make any change per se to the finance committee so much as I'm looking to
Eliminate.
potentially eliminate the audit subcommittee.
So in your motion, you'd have to eliminate it and also specify that would encompass the different positions that were in the, I'll bring the I have all the paperwork on the language. So if you decide to do that, you really have to review what a former school committee approved and then take the action to take apart what they've already approved.
Because we're going to probably have to do the same if we decide to get rid of those three too, right? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, those you can, I mean.
We could eliminate tonight.
Yeah, you're taking a vote to eliminate them. But again, the audit subcommittee, you'd have to, but if you're going to, their specific motion that was on the books defines exactly who they wanted on the audit subcommittee.
Oh,
But
okay.
if we're making, and I'm sorry.
So
know
I
you
just
had-
would put in the
but-
motion exactly what that motion was years ago.
The exact,
The
you
same-
mean the
yes.
verbatim language?
Yes.
I understand
Yeah.
that. Okay.
Yes, Mr.
So don't you have some people that are on the audit subcommittee that are non-school committee members that only to
Yes.
the Audit Subcommittee.
Yes,
So if you fold it into the Finance
You can't
Committee,
do
which
that.
is their premise,
you can't do that.
that they may say, and I know one being Deb.
Yeah.
They may say, I don't want to do the Finance. Committee.
Right.
I just want to do the audit. So I'm
Right.
only throwing it out there. I don't know.
I guess I don't see how that would be.
So you saying, can I clarify? Are you saying that the people that are on, right now, the finance committee would serve, those people would serve as the representatives on the audit committee?
Correct.
That's all. So basically it
It
wouldn't change the
restructure-
town, it wouldn't change the structure, it would just be that,
I would
the peop-
ask John, because I don't know if
Okay.
you can call a finance committee a finance audit committee. They're two separate things. The
Okay.
Charahoe Act
Yeah,
is defined.
I think we've put enough calories into this.
yes,
Yeah.
so let's just
I
keep it.
think
Yeah.
Just
we're
keep
Work
it.
it.
We're keeping.
I love it.
audit
Good
and
analogy.
finance.
I love it. We
Let's
put too much
move
calories
on.
into this,
Yeah.
right?
I'm on board
The
with that.
Charahoe
Right.
You
Act
must be
is,
Right.
Southwest. So
Okay.
So, the school safety teams and the school improvement teams stay as is. That's different. The only thing I'd like for this committee to consider, and I tried to do it a while back and I got shut down. I'd like to, ask for you guys to consider, adding a policy committee. So you have, people that, on this committee that actually reviews the policy, writes the policies, and then presents it to the committee, as part of and I know other districts have it, right?
I do, and actually, I mean, for the technology policy, we did that. I know Gary Legori, I think Donna Chambers, and was it Linda McAllister? So what's helpful is you have the lens of the school committee before
Already
it comes
there.
here, so it provides a
Feedback.
level of feedback prior to us having to come back and forth a few
Right.
times.
yeah.
Right, and I wouldn't know, I guess I'd have to maybe get some verbiage or wording on that before we actually maybe create it, and maybe I can look at maybe what other districts have done or something.
And typically, the process isn't different. The only difference would be that when we would meet, we would, it always comes back to the school committee, so you always
Okay.
all see it.
Anyways,
But input is directed first, and then usually what we do, so for example, at the beginning of this summer advance, we talk to the principals about which policies we have to, touch upon for this year. We talk about around February. Unless something comes with legislation, like we're getting ready for the Nathan Bruno Act policy, we usually start really developing that work in February through June. But it
there's a
allows that
general
input.
review of policies too, especially outdated ones.
And then it's also, a lot of you have that history too, and say, you know what, we need to take a look at,
Right.
because everyone has a different lens.
So I'll bring this back around the next meeting, and then maybe we could take some votes on, and I'll do some more homework, and then I just wanted to give you guys an introduction to it, so.
District strategic plan.
What?
District strategic plan.
What's that?
That's a-
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
So there was
Sorry.
one that I mentioned.
Oh, my God,
That's
I'm
okay.
sorry, I wrote it
Um,
down.
I
yes.
mentioned to Linda,
Yes,
one of the.
I like this idea.
We're preparing for the district strategic plan revision. The caveat is in state legislation, you probably remember when John did the presentation to your school committee a few years back around the school improvement legislation and the impact of the principal's work, school improvement plan. Involved in that legislation is also the district strategic plan. So it must follow the guide of the Department of Education, which is very specific, as is the school improvement plan. So we are part of that work with RIDE. We've been working with them to finalize their tools. So we've been part of that process. We are still working with them, but the legislation says the district strategic plans for all LEAs must be submitted by June 1st, which is great for us because ours is up anyway and has to be done by the end of the year. There are 3 specific times that your school improvement teams and or school committee members should be invested in around that work. And it can be arduous. It can be during the day, possibly some after schools. It depends because we'll have facilitation. But it helps to have sort of a representative of committees that are
committee.
interested and invested. If you're on a school improvement team, that's helpful too, because you'll be doing this simultaneously as we're doing the district strategic plan. So my recommendation to Linda was to think about having a district strategic plan subcommittee. Again, the strategic plan comes back to the entire school committee, but it allows, everyone is always welcome to them, but make sure those few people
So you'd
are
be
involved.
representative on that on the work.
Good idea.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for your time. I'll come back next meeting, have some final stuff to consider. Okay, on to consent agenda items. Anything needs to be pulled? No? Okay.
This is great. Madam Chair, make a motion to approve all consent agenda items.
Second.
Okay, there's been a,
Twice now.
there's been a motion by Mr. Luzon and a second by Ms. Chambers to approve all of the consent agenda items. Those in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you very much. Now we're on to reports. Ms. Picard?
At this time, there's no subcommittee reports. So for my report, I have a K registration update.
Okay.
Ashaway, we're at 31, so that's up 10 students from July. Charlestown, we're at 40, up 9 students from July. Hope Valley is at 44, up 8 students since July. And Richmond's at 69, up 13 students since July.
Does that change anything?
No, it's still.
It's still
yeah.
good, classes size
Yeah.
still look good and everything? Okay, good.
Our back to school plan was sent to all families on July 29th in our August e-update. It's also posted on our website and sent to RIDE for our requirement for ESSER. Overall, we are continuing with our plans for a full reopen, which means our schools' daily routines will feel very similar to pre-pandemic times, cafeterias, lockers, things like that. Although our high schoolers don't prefer lockers. I'm not sure if you know that, but you random freshmen, but most of our students do not want lockers at the high school. That was interesting and a nuance to me. But our school nurses will still have access to COVID tests available if students' families consent to monitor the state protocol. And that just allows students who are symptomatic, we could test them at school if we provide a consent so they don't have to go home if it's not COVID. Our health policies already take into account our nurses' protocols as it relates to any illness. Our masking guidance, as you heard me say earlier, remains that it's not required. However, if a child or an adult wants to wear one, they're free to do so. RIDE has stated that distance learning guidance will be different than last year. And to date, we have still not received any updates from RIDE. I have continued to request this update, as I know many parents are asking me if it's going to be something that we have access to. So once I get those details, I will communicate those to all of you and families and teachers. Fall sports start next week. We are going to have our ribbon cutting ceremony for the Matty Potts Fieldhouse on Sunday. Please arrive by 10:30 and bring your lawn chair.
10:30, yeah.
Our district safety team held its meeting in July 28th. And as always, we are very appreciative of all the support we receive from our local police, fire, and emergency personnel. I do want to give a special thank you to Mr. Day, who has been a wonderful asset as the school committee liaison to safety, and his expertise and attention to detail has really greatly appreciated and provided a great deal of support across all of our plans and our work in the district. So thank you, Bill.
Yay, Bill.
We have flu clinics coming up.
Could you send that to his wife?
I will. I'll call Barbara tomorrow. And our flu clinics will begin in the month of October. October 4th at the middle school, 4 to 7. October 6th at Hope Valley at 4 to 7. Ashaway will be October 11th, 4 to 7. Richmond Elementary, October 18th, 4 to 7. Trevor High School is for our students or staff, 8 to 10:30 in the morning, October 20th. And Charleston Elementary School is November 1st, 4 to 7. And those were selected by the principals and then posted. It will be posted on the state website for parents. It should be usually around this month. They start to update that. And that is all for my reports. Coming events. As I mentioned, Matty Potts Fieldhouse is please arrive by 10:30, August 14th. Our new teacher orientation is August 25th. Our staff convocation is August 30th in the middle school auditorium. You're all welcome to attend. All school committee, I should say, and staff.
It'll be in person.
Not public.
Yeah.
But school committee.
Yeah.
August 31st, District Professional Development Day. September 1st is our students' first day of school. September 5th, there'll be no school for students and staff. September 7th, middle school PTO meeting in the library. September 12th, Hope Valley School Improvement Team in the library at 5. September 12th, Hope Valley School PTO meeting, library at 6. September 12th, grade 5 open house middle school, 6 to 8. And September 13th is state primary day. While the schools will be closed, the staff will be involved in professional development.
Okay. And now it's time in our agenda for school committee requests for future agenda items
Or maybe not.
legal opinions. Whoa.
That was close.
I think the
That's a sign. By
the air went off.
I think it kicked. Yeah,
Yeah, I think we're on generator.
Oh, we're on generator.
we just lost electricity.
Yeah, we lost electricity. Yeah. Okay, so do we do okay with the video? Yeah, the stream.
It says it's still running.
Okay. Well, we're almost done.
We're
So
almost
anyone
there.
have
Came right back.
any requests for future agenda items at this point? No.
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
Seeing there's none.
And there's
Make
no
a motion
lights.
to adjourn.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to adjourn. Those in favor? Thank you very much. That was a great meeting. That was
Good.
unanimous.
So
And
Gina,
everyone be
That was
careful.
a sign.
Yes. be
could you give
careful
us the
going home.
kindergarten again?